السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. I remember a time when I was a teenager and hella confused, let's just put it that way. I think at that time I was really just following Islam as sort of motions. I think once I entered university, I really started understanding um, what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And I know a lot of people may be going through that, especially in these times where now, subhanAllah, Gen Alpha they're teenagers now, and they grew up like their entire lives with phones and social media. And I know I'm young, but I didn't even have those things for until like half of my life. So I can only imagine what kind of effect that it would have on, an entire generation. So if I were to give someone who's 18 or in high school my 2 cents on how to kind of clear confusion, especially as a Muslim, I think the number one thing would be structure. If you look at your day and you think about, just analyze your day, first of all, start with that. I think self-reflection is very lacking. If you're able to reflect, starting with just your day, you can find things that you dislike about yourself, habits you want to change, things you want to work towards, and kind of give yourself a clear picture of what's going on in your life. Obviously, first start with dua. Make a sincere intention that you want to figure out what is going on with you and your time and your relationships and everything. Whenever any time comes where you feel like, man, my life is just, going to hell right now, it doesn't feel good, start with dua. And if dua is hard, do it anyways. There's nothing like submitting yourself and being humble to the one who created all of this, like everything behind me and in front of me, if you could see. Then take the means, right? Tie your camel, as people like to say. Look at your day and find one thing. Just start with one thing that you think is something that you can change easily or start working towards. I think for me, the easiest thing I found was my wake up and sleeping time. The reason I found the time I slept to be such an important factor to kind of work towards and fix was because when I was a teen, especially in university, when I was away from home and on campus, living on campus, was everyone's doing stuff all the time, right? So if everyone's always doing stuff, it's very hard, especially if you like didn't really go out a lot when you were a kid, which was kind of how I grew up. Then you'll feel very inclined to like just go out all the time and you feel like you're free and do stuff. Going back to why I think sleeping early helped me as a starting point of like how to start fixing myself and making a routine and stuff was I had to start learning how to say no to all of the people around me who were doing stuff constantly. Every single day, people are going here, this city, eating out, coffee, whatever. All of the stuff that's very popular, especially now and on social media, like the Qala house culture, like the Yemeni coffee shop type stuff. And if you learn how to say no to things that are not haram, like they're not good nor bad or whatever, they're permissible things. These are things you can do, like go out. But if you learn how to say no when you really want to do something and when everyone's telling you to do it because you can work towards something better, that's a huge, amazing skill to learn. Huge. And I wish I learned it sooner. It's just like when you fast, right? Allah gives us all of these things to do that when the entire world, all the non-Muslims in the world are eating and doing, drinking water, whatever they're doing during Ramadan that we don't do, we still choose to say we're not going to do it, right? Obviously, we're doing it for the sake of Allah, but there's a lot of benefit for us as well. And that's why Allah prescribes it to us. He doesn't need us to do it, but it's for our benefit. So just like that, if you take the big picture of something like Ramadan and you try apply it to your life, right? What are permissible things that I am doing that I can restrain from that will help me work towards something that's better? Sleeping early, for example. Now, for me, sleeping early led to me waking up early, right? When you wake up early, you have to do something with your time. Maybe you scroll when you wake up. I think that's a really good habit to start with. Just try put your phone away further from you. Maybe screen time blockers. I know there's a lot of kind of these apps right now. You don't have to go crazy. Personally, what I did is I use a app blocker and I tied the forget password to my mom's Apple ID. And I live, hundreds, maybe like 1,000 miles away from her. So I can't get it back unless, she does it for me. And that decreased my screen time from about like 8 hours a day, 12 hours a day, even when I was a teenager, to about an hour and a half. And you will feel like this huge amount of time you get back. And I know it's like, maybe it's when I give these numbers, this is just after a few years of me trying it. It might be more difficult for some, but still try it. Start with something, right? Start moving away from your phone. Start being around people more. Notice the habits that people build when they're on phones, when they're on scrolling. When you wake up, just get some sunlight. Oh my God, I know I sound like an unk and I sound super cliche, but man, like it's life changing. It's life changing. When you live in a world that's super artificial, just waking up and getting sunlight in your eyes and on your face is just a great feeling. Another thing I know that people are really struggling with nowadays, especially young people, are temptations, right? Whether that's lust or that's your phone or whatever it is, right? The best way to start is to change your environment. That's why, going back to the beginning of what I was saying, was I suggested find something in your day that you can change, because you want to make your environment conducive to the things that you want to be able to achieve. To make this relatable to somebody who's, a teenager, if you want to, I don't know, win in soccer, you want to look at your day and see, okay, when do I train? How do I fix my eating habits? Maybe I'm eating out with people too much. How can I change that? How can I fix that? Maybe you're in college and you just graduated, you're doing your MCAT. Start looking at your day. Where can you start studying? Where can you start doing these things? Maybe you struggle with going to the gym. Maybe after Dhuhr you do 10 push-ups, 5 push-ups, 1 push-up, whatever. Start somewhere. That's the point. Just start. These small habits build and accrue and aggregate over time. This is what compounding is. I know people talk about compounding when it comes to money, but compounding is what's behind me. Compounding is everything around us. It's the way Allah created everything. If you look at mountains, it's over hundreds of thousands of millions or whatever years, right? Long time. Slow erosion, rivers and making canyons, and glaciers making mountains and valleys and gulches and whatever other beautiful stuff we see that Allah has given us to admire and appreciate. All of that stuff took a long time, but small amounts of change over that time. So adopt this principle that you are going to pick stuff in your day that is small but consistent, because that's just how life works. And it took me a while to realize that, and I think it's one of the most ROI type things I learned. But it does take effort, right? There's a reason that Rasulullah says that to Allah the most beloved actions are the ones that are small and consistent, right? And that goes both ways. It can be the actions that are good or bad. I hope these things are useful to, anyone watching them, because I remember I was so confused the moment I graduated and I had a job. I had a super what the hell do I do now moment, and I'd hate for people to have that moment. And alhamdulillah, things get better over time. You may be in a dark spot, but put your head on the floor and just, do it at night, do it whenever you can, ground yourself in Allah, ground yourself in your iman, and keep working. Do small things. This mountain was not built in a day.